Hello, hello everyone. Welcome. It's Alisha Brashe here at Cosmic Gateway, and I have my soul family, soul tribe here with me. I have Anna, Nick, and Donovan, and I thought it'd be really great to jump on and talk about what's happening in Australia, what happened yesterday from different perspectives, from different states and territories around Australia, and yeah, really broadcast the feeling, the vibe. And of course, we're moving very swiftly into December. So, of course, love to hear from you, Donovan. He's already got his pen out. Some number decoding. But, guys, thank you so much for coming on at such short notice and welcome everyone to this impromptu live. So, I'm just going to share it around as you guys take the stage. And thank you also for everyone watching the playback on YouTube. I'll upload this to YouTube once we've finished. How are you guys feeling after yesterday?
I actually feel really good. I usually the day after a protest it's exhausting and there seems to be that dull energy afterwards, but today was different. I did sleep for 10 hours though. solid 10 hours, and yeah, I've been pretty high vibing all day actually. I think the march yesterday had such a positive impact. It must have carried on today. I don't know about you guys.
I was going to ask you this question, Anna, because it felt like there was something different about yesterday. So normally I get wiped out after these things, no matter how sort of positive, high vibe they are. Yesterday was just an utter pleasure. I think I hung around afterwards, talked to a few people. I didn't rush to get out, got home pretty relaxed. Great day today, feeling fine, apart from sore legs, but that's about it. But do you, Anna, think that, because you're a seasoned veteran, right?
I'll take that.
Do you think something shifted? And because you said yesterday was pretty good, do you think that was different to even last week's one?
Yeah. I know last week was the biggest Melbourne had ever had, and I think it's just going to continue to grow from there. I'm not too sure about numbers. You know, you're getting people saying there was 50,000 and then some people saying 700,000. It's like that's a big difference. But despite the numbers, I think people that are coming out on marches now actually bring the positive energy with them. Yesterday, our march was actually led by Zelenak from the First Nations people, and he did a dance and it was beautiful. There was a ceremony, and then we had the drummers, and you guys know I love the drumming. You know, it's so grounding and positive. So I don't know if that, well, I know for a fact that did actually play a part in it. And I don't know about you, Alisha, but I've noticed a lot of spiritual people hitting the streets now too. So there's a lot of energy work that happens. It's not just marching, and yes, we get sore legs, but it's beautiful because you've got the people that are just waking up to it. And there's a lot of, from talking to people on the streets, there's people that have connected to Christianity or whatever other religion, but then there's also the spiritual people who are more, that talk about the energy. So that's surely making an impact. I mean, even if let's say there was only 75,000 yesterday, which there was more, but 75,000 people being positive and sharing that kind of energy, like, wow. And Alisha was there. She sat at the front. She did some energy work as well. And God knows how many others that we don't even know. So it'd be good to hear from people that went to marches and, you know, did energy work as well, wouldn't it?
Well, I've actually been getting some feedback from some people who were there and very clearly doing some energy work. And that's why I've been sort of guided to go down there. And, you know, I just want to say hats off to you, Anna. You literally have been boots on ground since day one. And, you know, through rubber bullets and capsicum spray and jumping fences and, you know, your presence is just so incredible, and the momentum, and I can't imagine how you would feel now to see that momentum just grow and grow and grow. But if it wasn't for people like yourself, Anna, it wouldn't have, you know, perpetuated in the way that it has. And it's quite incredible. The energy that I felt yesterday just was overwhelming to me, to be able to walk up, you know, near the front with the First Nations people, and to feel that energy driving it was something you can't put into words.
Yeah.
And I kept intuitively hearing that I had to be front and center, and I was like, like, normally I'm just like hiding in the back somewhere or just doing my thing, you know, just kind of but I don't know about you, but I felt the energy was a little bit wonky. In the morning I could feel it kind of oscillating. It could have gone either way, and my intention and focus was really to help stabilize a peaceful energy. And as I was walking through, I kind of said to you, Anna, and I got really, really emotional. And I've shared this story before, and I'll just quickly share it. Like many, many years ago, you know, I had a visitation from an Indigenous woman who talked about the change that would come on Earth. And she said, you know, I want to thank you in advance for the work that you and your people will do. And, you know, I won't go into that too much, but I could hear that same voice in my head saying, this is what I was talking about. You've now reached that point. And I got really emotional, because it was like, this has been a long, long wait. You know, my expectations was that we would be there in a couple of years, and we're kind of at the 6-year mark now. And to actually feel that energy and momentum that we're here it's very emotional. It's something you can't put into words. Yeah.
It was a good point, actually. Mel, I don't know her surname. She's in Sydney. She's one of your Sydney people. Mel. Anyway, she actually commented and said millions marched right across Australia. It wasn't just Victoria. And the energy of everyone from all different states, and at the same time marching too, like that gave me goosebumps. And I'm like, wow. I wish you could see everyone, like, you know, simultaneously marching. Like someone needs to create a video of everyone marching, and yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Because even in small places like Newcastle, which is like, for anyone doesn't know, it's just like a small sort of coastal town, you know, I guess 2.5 hours north of Sydney, and they had 3,000 there. And I commented that 3,000 in Sydney at this time last year, we were cheering. Like, this was epic. And then now it's like, this is happening in small centres.
Yeah, we thought 3,000 was big last year too. I mean, we went in the city one day, I think there was like 200 and freaking 600 cops, and we thought, yay, great turnout.
I was at places with like 7 people in the rain. That was...
But can I just say, right, like, I know last year during lockdown, and I know people were like, I guess wanted to spread peace and love and all that stuff, but when you're out in the streets, and, you know, some protests have ended up in tears and anger and all that stuff, but it's really through the actions of people being able to embody peace, love, unity out in the streets, you know. And we've had some aggressors out there in protests as well that will start trouble, but for people to just step in saying, hey guys, it's not worth it, walk away. Whereas last year it would have been like an outright brawl, cops would have come in. Just hats off to everyone that can be out on the streets and actually embody those words and not just be talking about it. Because and I don't know why, Donovan, you've got to stop telling me things, because now it gets stuck in my head. But Donovan said one time you have to be in the system to break the system. And do you know how many people I've said that to out in the streets? Air quote Donovan go, but it's true, you know, when you're out in the streets and someone's in your face and being aggressive, and it's like, well, this is it, this is a chance to show compassion or forgiveness, or, you know, really, do we really practice unity and love? Because it's easy to do it in your lounge room when, you know, there's no conflict, but when you're out in the streets and doing it, it's like, hats off to everyone. I see so many people doing it, and it's amazing. Thanks, Donovan. You're like my voice of reason in my head.
Hopefully you're not getting sick of that voice.
No, not at all.
No, that's so accurate and perfect, because yeah, it's like, we know, and we've learned on our own journeys, our own individual journeys, that triggering is the catalyst for our change, right? If we're not getting triggered, usually that's whatever, if we get triggered, that's like the thing that flips the catalyst that makes us want to change something. So if we're sitting always in comfortable company and comfortable places, and we're not out on the street getting fully faced and triggered with what needs to change, well then, yeah, that's actually the quickest way to do it, is to put yourself out there. God, so many keys and codes in what you've all just shared about this last week. And I remember I posted at the beginning of the week, I just felt it so strong. I'm like, it's going to be a big week. Now, this time last week, I was like, yeah, something's going to happen this week that's going to change the energetic feeling, emotion, and dynamic around what's going to happen at the next gathering, which we believe is going to be even bigger because it just keeps growing. And then this week, we saw all the Northern Territory stuff happen, right? Now, what's blowing my mind, so Canberra yesterday, right? So the first gathering a few weeks ago, 60 people, okay? I hadn't been to one yet, just hadn't worked out whatever. But Deb and I went yesterday and there was 1,200 people. Now, then I got to see what you guys had yesterday. I was just so blown away. I happened to click on Topher Field and there I see Alisha sitting right at his feet in front of, let's say, 900,000 people, right? Behind that, right? And I was just like, holy whoa, like, because I know with Alisha, like, you're like me, you're like, you had to wait till the time felt right for you energetically to be in the space. And we've all got this unique time where we feel it's the divine time for us to play our role and our part, right? And to see you sitting literally in front of whatever amazing number of people that was, I just found that so powerful. I'm like, she's sitting at the feet of the message, of the energy of however many thousands of people. And when I caught you in that video, because I didn't know, I just have to click on because I follow him. And I'm like, is that Alisha? No, surely not. Like 5 times I'm like, hey, Deb, is that Alisha? I'm sure that's Alisha. And came back and I'm like, and I saw you sitting there and I'm like, she's working light. Like, she's working the energies. You could just tell. And even from here, I could feel it. And then I was just like, oh, this is so beautiful, because it was like, for me, seeing you at the front of that yesterday for the first time, being right up front and center, that was like, it felt like a first for you. It was like me going to my first rally, which was yesterday. And the thing that's really blowing me away, getting back to the Northern Territory stuff that happened during the week, it's been brewing for a while, but there's this mass education happening, a mass spiritual education happening to the collective right now, because absolutely everything that's happening now, we've got our First Nation Indigenous brothers and sisters bringing this message of unity that's breaking down a construct that we were indoctrinated with as a mass consciousness, where we thought we had division with them, even if we didn't personally feel any kind of division towards them. There's this massive knowing now, and people are just like, when they get up and they speak and they bring their message about, we stand together with you. We are not seeing ourselves as separate. We're all in this together. We knew this time would come. This is a spiritual war that we're in, and we're the army, and we're all in this together, and we're here for our children, but we're here for your children too. And we think 7 generations ahead, and just that whole Pleiadian connection, 7 sisters, 7 generations, the true original Pleiadian beings walking the planet, and the education that people are picking up on, even if they don't really know what they're getting, they're sitting there going, hang on, I feel so connected to these people in a way so for me, like, I've always felt connected to them, but not in the way that I actually feel it. Like, emotionally, I feel this love for their culture, for the people, for what they've been through, and seeing how this is just a collective education in a way that's so natural that we're all able to imbibe the feeling that we truly are all one people of the earth. And the way that when they speak in their speeches, they're using keys, light, and codes that's talking about the human family. They're not talking about, even though they're talking about politics and what's going on and what we've got to do and all that level of stuff, and the judiciary system that they're taking on, and they're doing stuff that they've known was coming for generations in their prophecies and handed down throughout generations. And they're doing it on every level, financial, political, but spiritually, the connection that we're getting through their words, their codes, their light keys, through the words that they're expressing. There's this feeling you're getting. You're like, this feels so natural. They're talking about how we're all connected to the earth and the soil and the water and the air, and we, as much as we are, so are you, and we are all that. And there's a construct that's breaking down just naturally because we are together, we're in unity. And people that have never really felt that, I feel they're really on a mass scale, they're feeling it now. And everything that happened during the week, look, it was really hard navigating that because there was reports of stuff going on, people getting taken and children getting taken and forced jabbing and stuff. And then you'd hear other people going, no, that's bullshit, it's not happening. Don't believe the conspiracies. People are exaggerating stuff, it's not happening. And it was really confusing. But the fact is, whatever was true and wasn't true, actually, I just saw it as, oh, this needed to happen because there's another thing behind it that's coming through that. And that is this focus of this energy stepping forward where this spiritual education to the masses and this revolution is now getting this tribal sovereign love behind it. And it's waking up in all of us. And we're all going, oh, we get it. You know, like that guy in Melbourne that spoke yesterday, for you guys, I can't remember his name. It wasn't Jumper, it was the other guy. Man, that was, I had to listen to it 3 times because I just went, it's absolutely full of code. It was like a spiritual education for the masses. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, and every protest, and we had that in Canberra, there's no protest now without a didge being played, without a First Nations person getting up and speaking about their understanding of how we got to this point and why they knew that we get here, and that now this was their time as the sovereign leaders to step forward and take back a system that was a big illusion. And it's just such a big element now, and it's just like it's just going to keep expanding, you know. And then you feel the tribal sovereigns of every nation and country on the earth, that all waking up through this, and just how lucky we are to be a part of this in Australia, where our divine, sovereign, Indigenous, tribal people are known as the oldest Indigenous people that have ever walked this earth. It just makes me go, oh my God, now I understand why I'm in Australia and why I'm so lucky to be, and how this is all happening. Do you guys get that sense of how that's just front and center now, that whole...
So we've been at the steps protesting. Most of you guys know what, 24/7. How many days has it been, Alisha? I think we're in day 13.
It'll be 2 weeks today.
Yeah. So we haven't missed a day, but I'm actually taking a day off today. But Zelenak has been there every day and night as well, right? And the thing I like about protesting at Parliament steps is you can actually just talk to everyone. We're not running or protesting or chanting, but Zelenak's been there every day, and I pulled him aside to have a chat today, and I'm going to put this out there, but Zal will actually be starting his own podcast to share his wisdom and knowledge and teachings on the First Nations people. So it's like goosebumps because he wants to teach it, right? And he was talking to me about, you know, the traditions and stuff like that. And I said, you know, is that something that you guys are happy to share with anyone to teach people? And he's like, absolutely. And I think they're talking about a few different ideas happening there on how they can spread the word and the teachings of the First Nations people. But Zelenak will be starting his own podcast hopefully very soon. But I was telling Alisha, I was like standing next to Zal and talking to him, either was sitting at the park or at Parliament steps. It's like being in the presence of an absolute divine masculine. I feel so safe around him. Not that he has to do anything, because he's incredible. His integrity, the way he talks, he sees things, he feels things. It's just beautiful. And I thought, wow. And like you said, Donovan, I felt the same thing. What happened at Northern Territory? I feel like there was a bigger purpose to it. I actually really wanted to share it, but something kept stopping me. I would write the post and I would get stopped, and I'm like, I just feel like there's something beautiful behind this ugly thing. And, you know, no offense to, you know, the people of what's happened over there, but I just felt like there was something incredibly positive about it. And you're right. It's like, you know, the First Nations people will lead us. And I think that's what made the protest so beautiful yesterday. It was led by the First Nations people. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but I love where this is going because, you know, that, like you said, that being in touch with nature and stuff like that, and the way Zal talks about that is, it's like, oh, love it.
Mm. The energy that he brought was phenomenal. Like
Mm.
I just, and having my own reflection now, like this journey, and I mentioned before about the visitation that I had in 2015, and the words that were used, that, you know, your people, and I didn't understand that at the time. I really couldn't grasp that. And it's funny how, you know, things start to unfold and you go, oh, okay. And then of course I get this pop-up of a memory that exactly, so that was what, you know, 5-6 years ago now, and then around the same time, and then 3 years ago I was up in near Byron, and I was participating in a smoke ceremony, and had this amazing transformation experience. And then 3 years later to be where we are and have, you know, millions of people, you know, because I think about this too, like not only the people that were there, but the millions watching on the live stream all around the world, and the
Yeah.
energy ripple effect is just incredible. Yeah, just incredible.
I kind of just want to say this because Donovan will love this, but and also Nick's had some great photos I've seen from the Sydney protest. But Donovan, I kept thinking about you because the things that I've spoken to Zelenak about, you know, the natural law, LORE, and I'm like, this is so, it just goes hand in hand with self-mastery, right? Like what we were saying before about putting into practice, not just talking about peace, love, unity, and the self-mastery that comes with it. And I thought, we are coming up to the 12-12 portal. I am leading Donovan. Get the pen out.
Oh my God, be careful when you open the can of worms. There's a numerological cosmos waiting to explode out of there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Just bouncing off what you were saying, Alisha, about your memories about your visitation. There are no accidents. I mean, however it comes, right? I'm now having memories of experiences I've had that I didn't realize at the time that felt significant, but I had no understanding why, and now it makes sense. My dad's a professional photographer, and a few years back, I was not working at that time, and he's like, oh, stop sitting on your ass, come on a photo shoot with me. And I'm like, oh, where are we going? He goes, oh, don't worry, I'll tell you when we get there. And we went on to Mount Ainslie, which is the mountain that looks straight over the Parliamentary Triangle to Parliament House, right, on one of the trajectories of the Parliamentary Triangle. We went up the top of Mount Ainslie, looks over the whole of, you know, that whole part of Canberra. And I said, oh, what are we doing here? He said, oh, we're going to meet the Ngunnawal elder of this nation, of our nation, the Ngunnawal people. And I'm like, oh, whoa, wow, really? And I was like, obviously, I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. Anyway, I can't, Nellie, Auntie Nellie. Her name was Auntie Nellie. Anyway, we're doing a photo shoot. And I'm like, what's the photo shoot for? He said, oh, they're making an Australia-wide app. The Australian government, Dad got the contract to be the photographer for it, to do the video. It was like a video app of welcome to country for every nation around the country. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Wow. Okay, cool. I'm glad I came today. Anyway, and then we're sitting there, and it just so happens Dad was setting his cameras up and stuff. There was no one else around. She had someone that brought her, and they were off walking down there doing their thing. I sat next to her and I had this long conversation with Auntie Nellie, the elder of the Ngunnawal people. And I remember walking away just absolutely buzzing and just going, whoa, something just happened and I don't know why. And now where we're at, it's like your experience, Alisha, it's like we all had some connection to this in the lead up to this, and something that we can draw upon where certain souls have had certain experiences that are perfectly divinely correct with bringing all that together through us as vessels for this divine mastery that's taking place on the planet. But the thing that I couldn't get about his speech yesterday, and you're right, he's so grounded and so calm. It's almost like a meditation, just listening to him. Even from here, I felt that. I really felt that energy. I was like, oh my God, it's like I feel so warm and safe and beautiful, and I feel really nurtured by his voice. it's like he knows he doesn't need to shout, because the thing that's got the power in is the message that he's bringing. And then it brought me this other experience that I played on an album called The Message Stick. And on that album, we have a message directly to humanity from a Lakota tribe elder. And we also have a lot of indigenous music and didge and all sorts of percussive instruments on that album. That is, it's like world music, bringing all the cultures together. And I've been a part of that as well. And then I'm having all these memories of all this stuff I'd done that I'd completely forgotten about. Had no idea, but it's flooding into my memories now because all this connection of this energy. And he said yesterday, and Rod Cullerton, the WA, the guy running the GAP, the Great Australian Party, going around taking on the government and talking about sovereignty, and he's connecting with the First Nations elders all around the country and getting a lot of support. And he's talking about how the women, the mothers, the grandmothers, the sacred grandmothers, they've done the work. They've stood up. They're the strong ones. He's like, you've already done all that. And he's talking about, and he mentioned it yesterday in his speech in Melbourne, about it's time for the men to stand up, and be the divine masculine, embody your divine masculinity, embody your warrior spirit, because this is it. We're in the war, and now's the time, and we've got all the power we need, but it's power through peace, love, unity, compassion, and self-mastery, and understanding your own connection to the all that is and the earth and everything that you are. And it's just like, wow, it's just brought together so many aspects of each of our individual journeys, and then now watching this mass collective sort of like moving into self-mastery, but doing it all together. It's just having such a profound effect. And it's in the keys and codes for December, when I get onto that in a minute, because I'd love to hear a bit more from you, Nick. But yeah, the 12-12, we get the 3-3, 33, the master ascended master spiritual teacher energies coming through, but through the 1-2-1-2, which is marching one foot in front of the other. 1-2-1-2. We're marching towards this mass great awakened spiritual essence of humanity that is basically, we're taking it over. We're taking the planet over, and we're ascending it into a whole new way of being through love. It's like through love, but through direct experience on the ground with other people that are vibrating the same frequency, But yeah, Nick, I mean, how was yesterday for you? Because I know that it felt from here, Melbourne had a different vibe about it yesterday than only just a week ago, like this more spiritual vibe about it.
Yeah, no, here was the same. It was a completely different vibe, and I would say it was more spiritual. I mean, I got to the previous week's one about an hour and a half late, so I didn't pick up the full experience, but it was very much a different experience this week as opposed to the first week. But zeroing in on something you was talking about there about how the Indigenous guy, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name.
Zalanak.
Yeah, how he was calm and how he's measured in the way he speaks. We had an Indigenous elder who took a prominent role, and being an older gentleman, you'd normally expect him to be a little bit more measured and the young bloke to be quite boisterous and loud and things like that. It was the reverse here, but it was perfect and it was appropriate for what was going on. And I guess almost inspiring that you're getting this fire from the elders. So there's this, beautiful synergy in the difference between the two of them, because Sydney was definitely the same with a very strong Indigenous influence within proceedings for the whole day, but also like representations from there's probably all countries were represented in some way. And I had this particular moment because all along my journey, previously I'd not paid too much attention to it before all this started, but my Dutch ancestry just keeps popping up. People from Holland coming in. I've got friends from over there like you wouldn't believe, and they help me in various ways. But I took 2 photos yesterday. I had 2 photos taken of me yesterday. One of them, literally the one Dutch flag in the whole joint that I didn't even know was there, is literally coming up like right there. And I didn't notice it until after the fact. after I'd looked at the photo a few times. So it's interesting how these events aren't Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, WA. Every event is global. It's incredible. And we've probably spoken about this in the early days. There was always this feeling that somehow this was going to unite people rather than do what we expected with restrictions and things like that. And it really has. Like, it is just, it's unbelievable. Like, you'll have, to start off with, someone will be giving the Lord's Prayer, and then next minute you've got the Indigenous dancers coming on, and then you've got someone, talking like us, and things like that. It's just bloody magic. I kind of hope they keep with the tyranny so we can keep getting together and doing that.
Right.
Someone asked you, Nick. Someone asked you and said, "Well, if once this is all over, what are you guys going to do? You'll have nothing to protest about." And it's like, we'll probably grieve like getting out and doing all that. But just very quickly, sorry, Anna, but just very quickly, that similar, like, again, just bizarre synchronistic things happening. So last weekend when we went to the Glebe Park to find the gathering and nothing was happening in Canberra. I said to Deb, something I've been wanting to do for ages. I want to go and like get some photos of all the symbolism, like the Freemasonry symbolism around Canberra and all that. And anyway, no plan, just whatever. And we ended up where I wanted to go, which was the American Eagle, right at the center of the defense buildings there, right? And it's funny because I've lived in Canberra since 1986, right? I've never stood in front of this thing, and I'm reading the placards and whatever, and I'm getting the photos. And then I felt guided to walk to the top behind it to get a photo from behind. I get to the top, and there's this secret hidden little spiraling another memorial. And it was the memorial of how the Dutch helped the Australians in World War II. And I'm just going, this is unbelievable. And I'm reading it, and it mentioned Queen Beatrice. And I actually met her when she came to Canberra. She did a parade through the streets. And Mum was with me because Mum's from Holland, obviously. And she said to me, my whole life I grew up in Holland and I never got that close to her. And here we are. And like, she came up and like, it was one of those meet and greet things in the street. And she grabbed my hand and touched my hand. And then it mentioned her. And I'm standing there and it's talking about how the Dutch helped the Australians in World War II. And it was a commemoration of that. And I'm just going, this is so bizarre. This is like my Dutch heritage meeting this, this stuff. And then after that, nothing was happening. It was kind of raining on and off. And then I said to Deb, I want to go to Old Parliament House because there's been so much talk about the Crown and, are we still under the sovereignty of the Crown and all this stuff. And then ended up right opposite there. And that was where I just couldn't leave. I started walking around the Aboriginal embassy and just like, I'd been there before, but never really took it in. And I just found myself in this space of like, I really was for the first time really taking in the feeling and the knowing of all that has happened to these people. And now I understand it. Like, and everything was love and sovereignty and, and now I could feel in their messages, like, always was and always has been, Aboriginal land, but then seeing these messages, getting photos of it and feeling that, but they're not saying it's our land. They're saying it's our land, like us and them. And just getting that, again, just getting that sense of it. And then seeing what happened this week, that's why I had such a strong feeling something's going to happen in that area. Here I am standing in front of the Aboriginal embassy with the main word written across the middle of it is sovereignty. And then you got the sacred fire right there. And I just had this really strong feeling like they're coming here. They're going to come here. They're going to end up in Canberra. And then I heard from Dale that apparently there is a congregation of Aboriginal elders that are all on their way. They're convoying and they're coming to Canberra to be here in January. And I was like, oh man, that is just amazing. Like,
wow.
It's happening at such a rapid rate. But what blows me away is that for so long, they've known this and they stood back patiently, knowing what was happening to the country, the planet, the system. And they're so like you're talking about, Anna, with Dalanak speaking, it's like that they've trained for eons And they knew that the time would come, but they'd have to be ready at that time, fully self-embodied in their own spiritual awareness and teachings within their own journey, and then carrying all the knowledge of all the tribes. What did he say yesterday? 100,000 generations, all that wisdom and knowledge, and that they would then step forward at this time with all that knowledge within them that would need to be utilized to combine and unite the people. And they're so calm because they're like, we knew it was coming. We're ready. We knew this time was coming. And that's what Alisha was saying about the message you got. That's just so beautiful. Like, oh my God.
It's quite empowering, isn't it? Like, I know we all go through the ups and downs, and a couple of weeks ago, I actually had a bit of a meltdown and reached out to Nick, just random. He just copped it. Because some days are hard, you know, you get emotional, and but you think about, you know, like the First Nations people who have been fighting for a long time, like you said, Donovan, they've been, you know, just waiting for the right time. You think about it and how they've had the strength to carry on and push through. You're like, it does lift you up, saying, yeah, okay, we keep going, and they did it, we can do it. There's strength in that. And yeah, so just for the sake of pronouncing Zalanak's name properly, you can just call him Zal.
Zal. Yeah, Zal. I put a D on the front, Zalanak. Yeah, Zalanak. Okay, cool.
I love it when Donovan puts his pen out.
But yeah, so that's sorry, Alisha. Yeah, go.
No, continue. I'll park all my stuff. I'm good. I'll come out when it's time.
Let's circle back. It's just, you mentioned the word strength, Anna. So basically, just getting into the numbers for December, right? It's so much keys and coding in where we're at and what we're feeling right now, everything we just talked about, and then what's to unfold. So yeah, the 12th month of the year. Okay, so we got the 1-2, the marching towards something. All right, which is a 3. Okay, so it's a 3 calendar month, right? In a 5 universal year. 2021 is 5. Okay, so that's the change. Makes an 8 universal month. Okay, so we're moving into an 8 universal month. November, which we're still in now, is a very spiritual number, right? It's a much quieter number. This is what we're talking about. The protests this week was like something was a little quieter, more inward, more this energy and this wisdom behind it, right? Moving into the 8 of 12, 8 universal months of December. Okay, so we get the code 3, 5, and 8. And it's just like, I was really guided just before we got on, as usual, to just quickly check the tarot cards on that, right? And what we've got, 3, 5, and 8, we've got the Empress, we've got the Hierophant, and we've got Strength. Okay, so the Empress and the Hierophant make the Strength, and the Strength, okay, so we've got the planets, right? So 3 is Jupiter, 5 is Uranus, right? Rebellion, revolution, makes the 8. The god of war, Mars, and Saturn is the planets that represent the 8 energy. So we've got, you know, war and lessons that we've learned. So again, really, and I'm quite open to say, like, we're literally in the midst of a spiritual war last night. It's exactly what Zal was saying himself, right? So what we've got is we've got the Empress, right? And she is representing the fruition of the seeds that were planted in the High Priestess, right? And they're now coming, they're germinating, they're coming to fruition. Okay, yeah. So there's this sense of, and what she represents is accessing the experience of love through direct experience. Exactly what you're saying earlier, Anna, about being in the system and on the ground, right? The Empress she's got her feet firmly on the ground, whereas in the High Priestess, it's like she dreams of love and unity and all these great things, whereas the Empress is actually direct physical experience of that. So it's like being on the ground around the frequency of the people at the protests and in the unity and compassion and the love of the people. You're getting a direct experience now of spirit, of love, of compassion and unity, because you're actually physically there. And I think that's why the numbers are getting bigger, because there's this knowing that, like, I can dream about it and talk about it, but I'm not going to have the knowing of it within me unless I'm physically experiencing that experience. And that's what she's experiencing. You know, the Empress is bringing through the 12-month 3 code is like, make sure that you are actually getting yourself into physical places where you can have that direct experience, because then that you will have the true knowing, because you're speaking from direct experience, not from a concept of love and
Big
unity.
difference. Yeah, and there's a big difference. Like, I know what you mean. Reading the book, I'm still reading the book, Anna, and you read it, it's so beautiful, but you go out there and you actually go through the experience. It is a big difference. I'm not saying you have to go out to the protest to experience these things, by the way, but you know.
Isn't it interesting that Donovan, I'm sorry, Alisha, this is just quickly. I don't go on like Donovan, don't worry.
Just mute yourself, Alisha. There's no point.
I had this overwhelming feeling for like the last probably month or so of coming together. And I remember thinking like, oh, it's going to be like, you know, like we'll do a retreat, you know, or something like that. It's just dawned on me. It's this.
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
I know you guys had a reunion at your protest, Nick. All the boys were together, although I didn't see Johnny in your photos.
No. There was just Ben from the Conscious Man group and a couple of other guys. Yeah. So we got together in unpixelated. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great to see you guys finally meeting face to face.
Yeah.
That's funny, because on the way home from the rally yesterday, I was saying, no, Alisha, be quiet. You're talking too much. Can you stop? Please stop. No, go on. No, quick.
Quick, Alisha.
I just wanted to backtrack on what you were saying before, Donovan. I think that this year, the key theme for this year, for me, for many people that I've spoken to, is about being the physical embodiment process. So it's meant like embodying the frequency, and this has been coming through over and over in dreams for me, about how we've been working these energies. We've been taking the downloads, the codes, the frequencies, but it hasn't been physically embodied until this year. And as we physically embodied that, we're now starting to see the change and the ripple effect. And I think it was going back maybe 2 months ago, I kept having this sort of dream that I had to be out with the people. And that was when I sort of went, oh, it's my time now. I can step out back into the world. And it was very much just about holding presence, holding frequency, holding space. And it's been really beautiful. But what I see, and we've been talking about that feeling of community coming together, and you're absolutely right, Nick, like this is it. And I think that this part is going to transition into more of this, even when the tyranny's gone. This is the bridge that brings the people together to then start to build the new world. And that's what's sort of been coming through for me intuitively and through dream spaces. Now we're starting to build upon this frequency that has been worked through so many of us for so long. And now we're here, we can finally start to build it in the physical manifestation. So it's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful, because that again, the representation of the Empress in the 3 energy, there's also the connection to so people, but nature equally, right? So everything that Zhao was talking about, the earth, the air, the water, the fire, everything, all the elements, and we are the elements. And he was talking about your body will go to dust, but your spirit, your soul lives on. And I remember he said that, and the crowd were just like, Like, do you know how many people, say 10, 15 years ago, if you talked about your soul lives on, but your body will go, you are not your physical body, the consciousness on the planet was in a completely different place to be able to accept a concept like that. But then I didn't feel one soul go, oh, yeah, no, I don't really get that. everyone gets it now. Like, and it's like, yeah, duh, the soul lives on. And everyone's going, right? And it's like, I remember growing up as a kid, if you talked about reincarnation, people would be like, it was kind of like, oh yeah, that's a good concept. Yeah, oh, reincarnation. Oh yeah, that's pretty out there. Okay, cool. That might be an interesting concept, right? And there was like people really against it and people for it. And it's like, oh, and it was really controversial. Now it's just like, it's very natural for people to be able to accept that you are and he said a soul having a human experience, not a human having a soul experience, a spiritual experience, right? And it's like, yeah, you could just feel all this, just people just completely unlocked in that knowing that. So she represents that embodiment you're saying, Alisha. This is what we're going to experience more of in December, in the 3 energy of the 12-3 months. And then we bring, and that's a female feminine card, right? So we're talking about the mothers. You've done your work, right? You've brought all that feminine, rising, divine feminine energy. And then we move to the Hierophant, which again is a male card, right? But what's interesting is, so he's connecting heaven to earth, right? In the symbolism of the Hierophant. And he's got the pillars and structures behind him, right? Boaz and Warken, right? And there's so much about this card that could be suggesting about, well, it is suggesting about what we're already witnessing, but it could suggest some things we might see in December next month, right? The Hierophant card is actually also known as, you can't really see with the light, is the Pope. Right? Now the structures, the Boaz and Warken that sit the pillars behind him, right? What they're representing is the institutions, right? The religious institutions, the educational institutions, and government, right? And what he's doing is he's bringing the Holy Trinity of mind, body, and spirit, right? And what he's trying to get to his disciples below to understand is, through institutions, especially religious institutions, right? You use that and you use this priest, this Pope, as a connection to get to experience God, right? And what he's trying to tell his disciples is, you can get that through direct experience. You don't need to come through me. And that's the lesson of the Hierophant, right? It's a change in understanding that if you go through someone else to get that divine connection, that divine experience to God, the divine, whatever you want to call it, right? The all, the isness, the everything. It's one thing to go to someone who's telling you about that experience, going back to what you said, Anna, about direct experience. Someone tells you about it, and then you've got a belief about it through someone else's experience, rather than finding that, accessing that direct experience yourself. And this is why the Hierophant is in the 5 universal year code of 2021. That's what this year's been all about. We're starting to see that everyone's having their own direct experience of, I can access the love, the divine, the connection to everything through me. I don't need to get it through something or someone like a government or a religious institution. And that's why they're crumbling and falling, because that's the illusion, the construct upon which they are built, where they're going, you need to rely on us and we'll tell you what the experience is about. And we're going, hang on, no, I can access this within me. Yeah. And it's destroying the construct. So because we're integrating through the Empress, we're integrating that, and that brings us to the strength. And in the strength card, right, we've got the lion's roar of the masculine energy, and we've got the female energy, right? You can see her in the tending to the lion, and it's like the lion, she's totally got the lion under control, right? It's like a pussycat. But this lion's as fierce as ever, like it's a full lion with a full roar. And she's nurturing it, and she's also, she's like, hey, you don't, she's got her hands around the jaw going, no, it's okay. You don't have to intimidate. You don't have to use power and intimidation. Yeah. It's okay. Just be in your mastery of being the strength that you are. You're fine, and then we've got the infinity symbol above her head, which is like the strength, the strength of the divine connection that we've all found. When you look at it, the Empress, the Hierophant, and the strength, the 3, the 5, and 8. And the thing about the 8 energy that we're stepping into the universal 8 energy of December, right? 8 is about power, and it's about power and control, right? And it's got its, you know, its flip side, its shadow side is it can be used for good, or it can be used for nefarious means. The 8 has its own natural power, and that's the power of serving humanity is the lesson of the 8. And that's what we're all realizing now. We're like, we the people have the power, right? And we've learned those lessons because the Saturn's connected to the 8. We've learned those lessons from generations, and we're now ready to put those lessons, put the feet on the ground, bring that full integration, connected heaven to earth as vessels for all that we've learned been through, and all the wisdom, all the love that we've now got within us, and we can bring that power forward, and it's going to destroy any construct that is not made of love. Right? And the Pope being at the center of this code for December, I feel like watch what happens with the Catholic Church, watch what happens with the Pope. I think we're going to see some stuff happen. I've already been witnessing and feeling that there's some things happening, some big movements happening within the Vatican and the construct of the Catholic Church particularly, and we all know why that's front and center and how it's connected, right, to the monetary system, Freemasonry, and all the rest of the constructs and government and how money moves around the planet and all that stuff. But yeah, so that's one little clue that what we might see in December is something in the Vatican and the Pope. But remembering that what this is about is the falling down of the construct of the illusion that we need something to give us an experience of the divine, and that we can get that direct experience through us, all of us together, and we're doing it now, and it's beautiful, and that's where the power comes from.
Do you know that?
Donovan.
That's actually really beautiful, Donovan, because you know, I know in other religions out there, you know, they do talk, and look, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but you know, they do talk about that you need this and this to be able to access God, or you know, the divine source creator. And I guess, you know, if you're talking to people that connect with energy, we don't, I guess, have that belief. You know, there's nothing stopping us from connecting to the creator. And but one of the things, so the protest in Melbourne is either chanting "Sack Dan Andrews," "Kill the Bill," can't remember what else, but Zelenak started it last week. He started the chant of sovereignty. And so everyone chimes in and everyone's like, sovereignty, sovereignty. But you look around, like, how many people actually know what it feels like to be sovereign? So you can see that some people didn't really know, but they chanted anyway. And I thought, but herein this is the beginning of people recognizing and embodying sovereignty. And then look out, once people start understanding and embodying sovereignty, that's going to be a hashtag, I think. Instead of "kill the bill," it will be sovereignty.
Well, if you Google it, because all these people that didn't know would have gone home and Googled it, right? It's sovereignty is second on the list. I just went SOV,
yeah,
and sovereignty is second on the list. So there you go.
What's the definition of it, Nick?
Oh.
I thought you had it there ready.
I didn't follow through because I just wanted to say sovereignty is the supreme authority within a territory. Sovereignty entails hierarchy. No, that's not the answer. That's Wikipedia.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Okay, so I Googled it as well, which was interesting because after that, the chanting, I sat on the steps with Zal and I said to him, how many people do you think know what it feels like to be sovereign? And his explanation to it is very different to what is on Google.
Yeah. This literally talks about states and territories and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Supreme authority.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They hijack meanings. That's what what the construct does. Yeah. Tell us, Anna, what did he share?
Do you know what? I don't know why, and I want to share it, but I actually feel like it would be disrespectful to do it because it comes from a tribal perspective. So I think people just wait a couple of weeks when Zal starts doing his podcast, and it would be great coming from a chief to actually explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
But completely different to what's on Google. So yeah.
Wow.
Google.
Yeah, it's funny this week. The other thing that really occurred to me, it came to me today as like war on numbers, you know, and how Pythagoras said all is number, right? Everything we've witnessed the last 2 years, if you think about it, everything on all sides of every aspect of what we've been witnessing has been about numbers and how they're either hijacked and manipulated, or they're bringing a message, right? Because they're symbols of energy and frequency, right? So COVID cases, deaths, and all that, people are given a number, and it can either instill fear, right, or create something that you go, oh, hang on, I want to question that, you know. But everything, and then we talk about the numbers of people at protests. How, you know, what's the true number? Everything, it's all numbers. It's numbers, 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 right? Something else that happened this week. Apparently, Dr. Fauci's documentary came out, and he got more thumbs downs, like dislikes, than likes. So apparently YouTube decided they're going to remove the dislike feature.
I heard that, Jonathan. That's just so stupid.
Such a big psyop, because what Jason Shirker talked about this, what it's inadvertently doing, right, is it's saying, no, we don't want you to know there might be that many people that dislike this. We only want you to focus on the ones that do, so that affects your thinking. And okay, so where does it sit? And it's such a psyop. And I've just been thinking just so much about how numbers are used to psyop the masses. And it's just like, I feel like numbers themselves are going to move into their own sovereignty in the coming years, right? Where they're not going to be used to manipulate people and psyop them anymore. You know, the true essence of numbers will be spoken about with truth and transparency, you know. And it's like, you know, if there's 100,000 people on the ground at a protest, you'll be told there was 100,000 people. You won't be led to believing into that it was something other than that, or lies about it, or manipulations, you know. But yeah, this is why I can't believe how much like numbers just ridiculously high level wisdom that comes through numbers, no matter how you personally connect with them, you know. It still blows me away every day.
Do you know, just going back to what you said about, you know, the mainstream news, Donovan, it's funny because this time last year, like, it was incredibly frustrating for a lot of people to say, oh my God, they're lying again, for those that knew. But now you'll see, you know, Sunrise, Channel 10, Channel 7, they're actually starting to report on a bit of truth. But I'm like, they would never have done that had people not made it to the streets and started live streaming and sharing the information, because now they're just going to look like absolute noo-noos if they continue to massively lie about it. But that's the power of being boots on ground. You know, it doesn't have to be all the time, but shoulder to shoulder with everyone that shows up, and bit by bit, mainstream news now, I mean, Rukshan's killed it really in delivering truth out there, let's face it. And now there's more and more people actually doing their own live streams, and that's going around the world. You know, I know Italy have had some big protests as well, which we wouldn't have known if we weren't friends with a lot of people from Italy. You know, that's how we get the news now, when they go out in the streets and we see it. Yeah.
Actually, just speaking about the mainstream, Anna, you sent me a clip that I was on, I don't know, it was Channel 9 or
I think it was Channel 7.
Or 7. So I was walking and I could see that reporter in front of me, and I thought, oh, what do? Do I veer off? Because I knew I was straight in the line of the camera. I was like, no, stay there. And when I looked at that clip, because there was a couple of guys there who were getting really angry and kind of shouting abuse, and I thought, no, we don't want that. We don't want the wrong sort of representation on mainstream. And so I think you went up and you tried to calm him down at one point, Anna, and then they sort of stopped showing or recording, and then in that snippet I was actually up trying to kind of calm the guy down. He was just going off. But I think, you know, you can feel that everyone's at different stages there. You know, there's some people who still have the anger that they so rightfully need to express, but maybe, you know, just kind of taming it. But yeah, it's really fascinating. But I'm loving the unity vibe and seeing all the different flags from all nations just come together as one. It's just incredible. It really is.
Yeah, someone else
And
mentioned that actually about all the flags. I'm like, do you know what? I don't even get a chance to look at what's happening at the protest anymore. Like whether are people having fun? I don't know. I remember I used to have fun and just, you know, grab food and drink and run, and now I don't see that. But yeah, someone said the flags. It's like it representing everyone. And talking about your Dutch flag, Nick, I was like for a week I called all businesses in Melbourne where I could get a flag, a Filipino flag, and I couldn't get one. But yet, do you know how many people have told me or sent me photos of a Filipino flag that's been in the protest? So obviously there's people representing it, but at the same time I'm like, you know what, I don't feel like I need to carry a Filipino flag, because I don't actually feel like I'm Filipino or Australian. I've never felt like I was just one thing. I actually feel like I don't belong here. So
It's true,
The
isn't
time
it? 'Cause
traveler.
yeah. Well, that's why I find the Dutch thing interesting, because I don't get attached to that. Like, I don't
Yeah.
kind of go, I'm Dutch and proud, you know,
Yeah.
let's do this. Like, I sort of look at, we're all just human, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why those things coming up, those stand out to me, because it's not something I'm ever consciously searching for.
Yeah. But it's always there
Yeah.
following you around.
Yeah, stalking me.
I actually saw, sorry, you go on. I actually
go
saw
on.
someone, so Parliament steps, they've been drawing with chalk on the steps, like messages and stuff. And I saw someone had drawn a tree. And I'm like, oh, that was for me, because I felt like there was a massive tree growing and flowers blooming along the Parliament steps and around the buildings. And I thought maybe I should get a flag that has a tree on it. That for me feels like represents me, just this tree growing and connection to Mother Gaia. And yeah, so I might source one of those.
We do need a planetary flag, don't we? Like the one that's not
Yeah.
like UN or something. Yeah.
It's right behind Alisha.
Hey.
Why not? No, someone messaged me this morning and was saying, did you hear all the conversation? I didn't hear anything. I was such in the zone that I knew I had to, like, I'll give my secrets away. I was connecting specifically with the frequency that's been coming up from inner earth for quite a while, and I've been kind of like bringing it up and out and kind of like spreading it to the people. So that's my little secret. That's what I've been doing when I've been at some of the marches and the protests. And yeah, someone said, did you hear all the conversations around? And I was like, no, I was just so tuned out and just focused on feeling rather than listening.
Yeah.
And this person said to me, oh, there was a lot of conversation about the aliens going to land soon. You know, there's a lot of ET contact and disclosure. And I was like, did you turn around and say we're already here? And so, you know, I thought, well, maybe, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how disclosure unfolds. But I think the first step is just bringing people together from every nation, every walk of life on Earth. And once that's accomplished, then maybe we can start to integrate different things into our society. But first of all, we have to unify the Earthlings.
Well, I think Earthlings are doing a great job and really fast now.
Yeah.
So
Very.
Yeah, looking at the change in placards, Nick, you were saying about the change in things. You were talking about Anna, you know, sack Dan Andrews, kill the bill, all that. It was just like this. That was the mantra. And for the first time yesterday, I saw quite a few that said, "Thank you, Dan Andrews, for uniting Victoria."
That was
Anna?
That was Anna's.
thing.
Oh, that was. I was like, but no, but there was others. I saw others on other live feeds with the same message, and I was like, that's the shift.
Yeah.
You know, and that was something that really touched my heart, because when people are realizing, hang on, we've got to go beyond the small-mindedness of, oh, this guy, get this guy out. you know, and Zal spoke about that. It's like, it's not about get Dan Andrews out. Once you get Dan Andrews out, they'll have another puppet they can bring in, right?
Yeah.
This is about breaking down the entire construct. And that's why I love his mantra, shut this down, right?
Yeah.
But and every time a new hashtag, mantra, whatever comes forward at each protest, it's got a new positivity about it, and it shifts to something a bit more powerful but more loving. Like, it's less like fuck Dan Andrews, you know what I mean? Which is where it started, you know?
Yeah.
That's where it started. And it's like the messages keep changing. They get more fully embodied and integrated in more authentic power, because it's like the message itself is like growing into its own wisdom, its own maturity. It's going, no, that's not the point. Let's get to the full picture here. Like, what are we really doing here? What's really the message, you know? And then it becomes, it's in the encoding of the frequency of the words that have now been chosen. You know, sack Dan Andrews to someone in Italy is not really gonna do it for them, right?
They did do it though, just to let you know. Someone
they
had a protest somewhere overseas, and they started chanting "Sack Dan Andrews."
That's hilarious. But that's like us going, "Let's go, Brandon," right? You know?
Well, Mel, we had that in Sydney. Yeah. I don't know what it means.
Oh,
so many people don't know. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
Really?
I've had to explain it to people.
Yeah, it's a thing against Joe Biden. So basically, the guy that won the NASCAR championships, his name was Brandon, right? And the CNN were interviewing right after the race, and he was like, and they're all going F Joe Biden in the background, and the CNN reporter goes, "Oh, they're all cheering for you. Let's go, Brandon." And everyone's just like, "That is not what they're saying." And it became a thing, and now it became a song that made it #1 on the chart as an independent song, not through a record company. It's gone completely global, and so
that's positive messaging though. That's turning it around. Do you know what I mean? And
So
that's become a catch cry. That's less negative.
It's more uniting. Yeah.
Well, I went to not this one just gone, but the one before the protest, and I had, in one of my reactive moments 6 months ago, I made a shirt that said, "COVID is a scam, government is the virus." And I was kind of in that mentality the week before where I'm like, oh, I've got to wear it. I haven't worn it anywhere. I've got to wear it out once, but I felt yuck about it. And it's funny you're saying this now. So I went this week wearing a white shirt because I feel like there's something. I've seen the mob up at Brisbane walking around with white shirts, and I'm like, you can't aggressively arrest a person in white, you know, like you can't make a person in white look evil. And so I'm now wearing that white top, but that was I really didn't want to that first week wear that shirt, but I just felt like I sort of, you know, told myself that, no, you got to wear it once. And I just didn't feel good about that message because it was just too negative.
And it's funny you say that, Nick, because the last 3 or 4 protests, there've been people selling merchandise. And like, it's like going to a music concert. And it's like, you got to bring cash because you got to buy a t-shirt, you got to buy a Dan Andrews punching bag. And anyway, so yesterday, finally, I had cash and people were selling t-shirts, right? And exactly like you, everyone was rummaging through t-shirts. I didn't want black, and I didn't want to say, fuck off this, or, you know, I just didn't want anything aggressive on me. I wanted something more positive. And so anyway, I came home with 4 t-shirts. And Topher Field actually has also, he's selling t-shirts, but he's sold out now, with a Parliament steps on it, and it says, "I was there."
I was there,
yeah. And the money used for that was actually used for the PA system for the protest yesterday, and it'll be, I guess, used for other protests as well. So I bought a t-shirt and a hoodie as well. But same thing, Nick, like I don't want black. Where are the rainbow t-shirts? Like United We Stand, or We Rise Together, rainbow colors, and enough with the black already.
In the early days. Yeah,
I'm going to sell my merchandise. Like, no one better steal this idea.
A tree.
A tree, United We Stand. Yeah.
a stand in the park, Brady, a guy here who started it, he had the right notion. His is literally yellow shirts with a big smiley face that says freedom
Yeah.
underneath.
Yeah.
You know, they're in the right spirit.
Yeah.
He was an early adopter.
And I think it's Reclaim the Line who started the white t-shirts
Yeah.
with positive, straight to the point. That they're a beautiful movement as well. So Donovan, just FYI, Reclaim the Line have their protest on the 12th of the 12th.
Oh yes, right.
Yeah. And they're the ones that wear white. They just wear white t-shirts, and they're made up of teachers, nurses, and doctors and police, ex-police officers. So I was saying to Alisha, that's going to be, I've got a feeling that's going to be an epic day.
I need a bus driver.
Into the 12-12 because I'm setting up the transmission, and I think Anna and I, it's not officially announced yet, but Anna and I are going to be doing a ceremony maybe the following week, so keep a lookout for that. That would be keep a low for people local in Melbourne, so keep an eye out for that. But I've been feeling a lot into the energies because I want to do these transmissions based on the energy theme that I'm feeling into, and I keep visually seeing this box. And I know last year, you know, was the magic box and solstice and things like that, but talking about the energy and then the physical embodiment, I think we're actually going to start to see a lot more tangible shifting this time around, 12 months later. And the thing for me, last weekend, I felt we had reached the energetic tipping point. I felt an enormous energy surge last Saturday, and I thought, yep, the actual tipping point has arrived energetically. You know, how it unravels physically, we have to play it out, right? It's been a massive week for me, but I could feel it. And I remember Amanda Ellis talking about, for the last maybe year or 2 or 3 years, about an energetic shift that would start from Australia, New Zealand, and then ripple out over the world. And as I was sort of thinking about that and reflecting on what I was feeling last week, was we've reached that tipping point, and that energy of unity has bubbled up in Melbourne, and it's starting to spread all over the world. And I felt this overwhelming joy and peace and bliss and gratitude for this year. Has been a heavy year, you know, last 2, but this year especially. And I was like, we've now shift, and you know, this is not going to be everyone's experience right now, but energetically it is there and available to support you. It truly is. And I know in Dream Space I've been working a lot on anchoring this timeline in for next year. And on Tuesday night, coming home from the protest at Parliament, I could feel this immense, massive energy, and I thought, oh my goodness, something is happening tonight. I couldn't put it into words, but it was all encompassing. And straight away I had this massive craving for chocolate milk, and I thought, oh, here we go. We all know what that means. And sure enough, I went to bed last night, and what I felt was, I felt 2 parts of me had come in together and merged. And all I heard when I woke up was, this process is now complete. And I felt like this anchoring of this timeline has been an ongoing process for months and months and months of wild dream space. And I know that we've all been working around the clock, physically, boots on the ground, in dream space, in the ethers. And it was funny because I had been given that date in a dream prior, like 2 months prior. And so I always mark it as like a significant day. Let's wait and see what, and that message came through. And it was really cool talking to some other people who had a very, very similar message come through on the same night. So doesn't mean that, you know, it's going to be, you know, you're going to feel blissed out or whatever, but you can certainly feel this stabilization of this beautiful trajectory that we're on, humanity.
Yeah. And you know, it's not about, like, you guys would see this as well, it's nothing to do with vaccinated or unvaccinated anymore. Like, that was just the initial stages of getting everyone out. Yet there was a lot of conflict and hurt and pain that came with it. But I speak to so many women on the steps, and you know, the pain that's come from the families and friendships and co-workers being divided from it. But it's like, but look at where we are.
Mm.
Look at where we are now. We're holding hands, we're hugging with people we don't even know.
Mm.
And we would never have done that if we had stayed in our, you know, in the comfort of our friendships and workers and stuff like that. I just want to read out this guy, Chris Ranger. He said about a movie, Tim Allen movie, For Better and Worse. He said, and the elders said, we like the colors. And I haven't seen the movie, but I feel like I know it. So if the elders like the colors, then I think we need to bring out colorful t-shirts.
Mm.
The Rainbow Bridge, Anna, and the
Yeah,
men
the
from
rainbow.
the West.
Yeah. The men from the West, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, great times, guys. It's it's really divided when you speak to people, because they think, oh yeah, we'll be going into lockdown again by winter, and then some people saying, no, I think this is it. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter, because I feel like for every mandate, every segregation, it's just more and more people waking up and coming together.
Yeah, it's lost its power to drag people into a negative timeline again.
Yeah.
It's like we can't, we're expanding in a forward movement now. We can't, no matter what you do to us, this is how invincible we're becoming as souls, as integrated as we are. You can do anything to me, lock me down. It's like it can't affect us anymore on that level, because we're fully integrated. We're fine. We're like, okay, do whatever you got to do. We know where we're headed. We're good. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, with the new variant being announced, like, normally that would have felt very heavy, right? But it doesn't. Like, it doesn't feel that normal. Like, I would normally go, oh, and I'd feel the tense up, and I'd feel my heart close up, and you know, all of that. But it just hasn't grabbed hold this time. And that's that turning point that I heard Alisha say, and I thought that really resonated, because I even mentioned it in some posts about, particularly yesterday. It feels like the tipping point has occurred.
Yeah, I felt that, because they talked about the UK they're pushing that idea, and it's an idea. It's like, it feels like just an idea now. They're pushing this. There's this new variant in the UK, right? And the best, my favorite meme of this weekend, I just saw it. They said, if you want to protect yourself from the new variant, best way you can protect yourself is turn the TV off.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I feel like the people in the UK are just like, they have, again, they've been really mucked around, right? They're just going to go, yeah, whatever. You know?
This new variant, though, you know how it's called Omicron? Do yourself a favor and Google it. Have a look for the name. So Omicron is the contrast to Omega.
Yeah.
And if you look at Alpha and Omega, I did it the first time. As soon as I saw it yesterday morning, I thought I'd have a look, and then look at, you know, Alpha and Omega. And, you know, like the way they name it, this one seems particularly obvious, you know? And I feel like that's a really cool thing, because more people are going to go, that sounded like something else, didn't it? Yeah.
No, I just
That's
love
not
how
a Tim Allen movie.
you know, sometimes you can't find the words, so you make noises, and it's like, my friend Danny, like, she just does that. I just like, that says a lot.
That might have been a better noise, though.
Oh well, it's okay. You did your best.
Yeah. What's Donovan processing?
Yeah.
It's funny, because when I was told about the variant, they use some number letter code thing, 241B3 or some shit. I know what it was, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to like catch that sometime and decode it.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard on the radio. I heard on Radio National. I heard it, and they gave it some numbers and letters, and I hadn't heard of Omicron. That's cool. We'll look further into that.
Look
Yeah,
it up. You'll like that, because I think there's a number of different angles.
It's all over social media. Or is it Omicron, moronic?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've seen some pretty funny memes about it.
Yeah, the memes are good. The memes, I had to look it up because I'd seen some posts and some memes, and it wasn't rigid. I was like, what? I'm a bit behind. I didn't realize there was a new variant out, but I honestly don't think it really matters what is pulled now, because when people come into that frequency, that alignment, it really is just how you respond to it. And I think when you've been through trauma and releasing and then healing, you can go through the same situation and have a different reaction to it. And I think it just shows how far humanity has come in the last 2 years in extraordinary amounts of healing and releasing and purging. And I know you hate that word, Anna, sorry. You know,
I haven't heard that in a while, actually, Alisha.
You know, and I've been getting this feeling. So back in 2019, Zara was here in Australia, and we did a solstice gathering, and we pulled everyone together, and we could feel into what was coming, and it was magnificent, right? And then, of course, you know, January or whenever, you know, COVID hit, and what we were feeling into just didn't materialize. And I've been feeling that same feeling coming around. And I like to work with dates and reference points. That's how my brain works. But I was like, oh, we're actually getting onto that timeline. It was like that energy was very present, and you could tell that we were moving into that. And it was almost like the beings that govern the ascension process went, not enough humans are awake. We need to throw this. And then boom, you know, and it feels like 2 years later, we're coming around. There's so many more people who are in their, you know, self-mastery, in their personal empowerment, in a different frequency, have let go of so much, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I truly believe that, yeah, this coming together vibe is truly present, and it's very exciting what's around the corner, but I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I can feel it, and it's magnificent. So yeah.
100%.
Nick said,
and that, sorry.
No, you go, hon. You go.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling with the 3 energy of December, bringing that through before we hit that 222. Oh, yeah, I know, right? The 222 frequency is like, oh, look what's coming. Because 3 is very much about joy, and it's about fun, right? And enjoyment and laughter and celebrating, right? And it's very positive. It's the planet Jupiter. It's expansive, it's fun, it's joyous, it's all that. And that's what I really honestly feel about 2022. I think we said the last time we spoke, you know, I made a pretty confident statement about saying I don't feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better, right? And then a lot of this stuff's happened, but for the saying that, you know, coming into that energy of what's to come, it's like it's like it can only get better from here, more and more and more. And the 222 is like, but it's going to come through unity, cooperation, and connection. That's where it's coming from. That's the basis of this new frequency, of this literally a new Earth experience by next year. Like,
and there's a lot of love coming in, and a lot of partnership pairing that I feel coming in as well with that 6 vibration. It hasn't hit, but you can feel the energy and momentum of it. I'm certainly seeing that with my clients and in sessions as well. And, you know, I remember 4 or 5 years ago, someone talking about, you know, divine coupling in, 2022. And I just was like, no, what do you mean? It's going to happen way before that. But you can certainly, I was like, what do you mean? That's ridiculous. happening now.
Too long. I've waited long enough.
I'm very impatient. You know, I feel the energy and it has to instantly manifest. But I do feel, and I see a lot of that coming in for 2022. You know, I see a lot in the sessions and the energies. And I think it's that, you know, masculine, however it plays out in your personal life, but it's that equilibrium and the balancing of the masculine and feminine standing in unity, in one, you know, oneness, in harmony. And there's a lot of power behind that when two people in the same resonance and frequency come together. You know, that is an activation within itself for the people, but also for the planet.
Yeah, spot on. Because 2022 being a six, the sixth card in the tarot is the lovers card. I mean, it embodies all what you just said. And of course, you know, those that are attracting that divine experience with another being currently walking the planet is going to have that experience of that inner balanced completeness and wholeness, and then they get to share that outwardly with someone who's on the same frequency and energy, you know, that they can attract that to.
I've got to go back because, you know, Katie Jane and I always joke about it. If Alisha has a prediction or a premonition, it happens like 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. You know, so frustrating. But the time lapse is getting shorter and shorter. But I will often go back to things that I've written a couple of years ago, and it, you know, it shows up. And you've just reminded me, I wrote an article for the 12th of December, I think it was around the 12th of December, because I was shown in a dream, and it was showing me that it was going, the energies were going from the 9 of Cups to the 10 of Cups. I've got to go and dig that one up, see what else I wrote in there. But I do remember it was December. Yeah, cool.
I have no idea 9 of Cups and 10 of Cups. Like,
oh, okay.
I'm guessing it's something good.
Okay, so 9 of Cups is kind of like a self-fulfillment card. So it's like when you have all your cups filled and you are fulfilled, you know, in emotionally, financially, physically. It's kind of getting into your own personal empowerment. 10 of Cups represents family, home, harmony, children, you know, the perfect balanced relationship.
Okay.
10 of
Oh,
Cups.
there it is.
It's the
It's
rainbow.
rainbow.
I know.
Yay.
Always love that. Love that. Yeah. And also quickly what you're saying, Alisha, about divine relationships for next year. I have recently heard from a lot of people in the last 2 months, even in the last month or couple of weeks, who have had to let go of some of the most, it's been really difficult, but they've had to let go of relationships that have been such a big impact on their journey. And for some people, it's been extremely painful. And all I feel about that is that you're clearing the way for that next thing to come in. I feel that very strongly.
Yeah, the highest of the high. Yeah. And I think every eclipse that we've been through this year has been a big phase of relationship breakdown. And, you know, I always say this to people, you know, letting go doesn't necessarily, you know, letting go, as hard as it is on a human level, on a soul level, there's always a connection, you know, that never goes. But a lot of these are set up and so divinely orchestrated to take us through some of the most powerful inner transformations that we can possibly go through in a physical body. And, you know, letting go means letting go to be an allowance of the divine and allowing the divine to work through you. And for some people, that means, you know, new connections being established. Someone else will come in and take you through that next part of the journey and will be perfectly aligned for your vibration and where you're at. And for some other people, letting go means to go on their solo journey and learn more about themselves and witness the beauty in that. And sometimes these relationships will come back around. It's very, very unique. And I don't want to speak for everyone because every path is different. But there's certainly some really beautiful new connections being established that I'm sort of witnessing through my work. And for other people, it's reconnection and reuniting after many years of, you know, not being in contact. So.
Can I just mention as
increasing
well
chances.
that,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, make mention that, you know, there's a lot of I guess divine masculines and feminines coming into partnerships, not romantically, but in terms of work or sharing that energy. There's so many beautiful divine masculines out in the protest now.
Oh.
It's like, yes.
Oh my goodness.
And even just the way they care for you, like even the night before the protest, the other night, you know, I spoke to a couple of men there that helped with the protest and didn't know them. We said hi a couple of times, you know, while we've been at the Parliament steps, but they stepped right up, delivered. They were solid, they were grounded, they were like, yeah, we'll get shit done. That was beautiful. And I'm not just talking about, you know, everyday or lengthy partnerships with a divine masculine and a feminine, even the short ones. I'm like, wow, this is great turnaround. Yeah.
I agree. Thanks, Anna.
Just think of the how we were living our lives before we were having these experiences of thousands of people that we can walk into a place and all of a sudden you're around thousands of souls, right? Think of it from a number perspective, right? The chances of you meeting those few key people that are going to resonate with you on your journey or find that special person, the chances of you coming into contact with that now, going to an event like that, as opposed to not having those events, is so much bigger. Like, you know,
yeah, 100%.
That ain't even rocket science. That's just simple math. Like,
you know, I'm not a crier, and when I do, it's only like 2 people maybe I'll cry to. Alisha's one of them. But as I mentioned before, I had a teary a couple of weeks ago, and I have no idea. And I've thought about it often. Like, I don't know why I reached out to Nick. Nick and I, we do Seeds of Light every Wednesday night, but we don't really talk much outside of that, you know. But there was something about that day where I just felt like it was Nick's energy that I needed. And I think what then happened was Nick and the guys from Seeds of Light did some beautiful energy work. And it's just a beautiful example of a masculine turning up for a feminine. And so much love for you guys. Makes me cry.
Do you know what though? Like, it feels like a privilege, one, to be thought of that way, and then I mean, I didn't need to do anything, but just to be able to absorb that and in some way help, you know, you release whatever that was. I mean, that's just, you know, to tell you the truth, like, it's just a really beautiful gift at the end of the day. And I felt very lucky that you decided to do that. And then the group, they did do some really beautiful energy work. And that's another beautiful thing, you know, having people that the minute you say that, you don't even need to ask them. They know what to do. And that's what happened within that group. They straight away knew what to do. And what happened, we felt was powerful. And obviously you did too.
I certainly did. I remember like being so heartbroken and full of grief that day. And then I'm like, are they doing something? Like, I was actually at the steps and I thought, they're doing something. And I didn't know they were going to do anything. But yeah, and then it was only like a week later, Nick actually told me, but I was like, I could feel it, like the pain was lifted. It was like someone shared it. But you know what, Nick, only a conscious man would actually feel that way. You know, as some other masculines out there are waking up, if you burdened them with pain, especially emotional stuff from a woman, they would crumble or they would run or they wouldn't know what to do. But yeah, a conscious man makes a big difference. So thank you.
Do you think, just because someone might need to hear this, do you think also it's a very masculine thing to try and give advice, or, you know, maybe be sagely and, oh, look, you should do this, maybe this is a good idea? I feel like that's a really important ingredient now, and I'm seeing that come up with certain people, and I'm thinking, oh, that's interesting, because I was doing that, and now I can see the value with not having to do that.
Yeah, you know what? Women do that too, really bad. And I'm one of those people. It's like, if I share a problem with you, don't tell me how to fix it. And I actually did that to my friend Danny the other day. I was telling her how to fix it. She goes, just let me feel my feelings. And I'm like, whoa, I just got told. And it was great, because I'm like, we all do it. I think it's a very masculine thing to try and fix a situation before you listen to how they're feeling. So yeah, I'm one of those too. I'll own it. But yeah. But thanks, Nick. You're right. It is a very masculine thing. And this is why we got to head into the matriarchal way of living. It's all about letting each other feel and giving each other space, rather than fix it. You need to do this, A, B, C, D, and
We're mirroring each other. It's always just mirroring, and that's what I've noticed. Like the things I get from you are you just talking about your experience, and then I see myself in that experience. So it's the same sort of thing. Like when those moments happen, we already know what we need, and it's just, even by being a soundboard, in a way, we're still mirroring that.
True. There's a girl at the protest, and she's just incredibly adorable. Her energy, she's a little pocket rocket. And every time I see her, I was like, oh my God, you're so cute. And she goes, I'm just a reflection of you. And I'm like, oh.
You can video. That sounds adorable.
She's just stunning. Never says a bad word about anyone. Her energy, her aesthetics, everything. She's just a beautiful person. Yeah, but when she says that, I'm like, oh, I just want to put you in my pocket and carry you everywhere.
You can have Donovan on one shoulder and go on the other,
Anyway,
no,
guys,
I love what you guys, just very quickly, what you guys are saying. I know we got to go, but it's so true, Nick. As soon as you were both sharing with each other, I remember thinking, we did speak about this a while back, about how an awakened divine masculine will just know to hold space, right, and not need to fix. And I think we're seeing so much more of that than we've ever seen. And then also, just like there's this silent knowing when you're in that space and you're good with who you are and you're fully integrated, you just know that, again, coming back to what I was saying earlier about direct experience, that person needs to grow through that experience. If I try to step into that, then I'm going to actually be blocking or slowing down their growth. So again, that's going to be the theme continuing through December, is allowing everyone to go through whatever experience they need to go through, so they get that direct knowledge and wisdom from their own experience in their own journey, no matter how painful it is. Yeah. So sorry,
that's
I did
beautiful.
it again.
No, that's beautiful, Donovan.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming on at such short notice to give your beautiful wisdom and perspective. Thank you, everyone, for watching the live stream and, of course, watching the replay on YouTube. Hopefully, we'll be back to share more from the ground and what's happening all around Australia, but it is absolutely beautiful. So until next time, just sending everyone so much love, and take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.